Party people, welcome once again to the Party of One podcast, the actual play RPG podcast where the gaming table is always set for two. I'm your host as always, Jeff Stormer. This week on the show, I am joined by Austin Walker for a game of Orbital Blues. Austin is the game master for Friends at the Table, an actual play podcast about critical world building, smart characterization, and fun interaction between good friends. It is very possibly the gold standard of actual play as an art form. It is the thing that you point to when you want to talk about like what actual play can be. It was one of the shows that made me excited about actual play when we were starting in 2015. It's a really good fucking podcast. To say it is an inspiration to me and to a million other creators in the space is an understatement. You can learn more about the show, including listener guides and more, at friendsathetable.net, or check the show notes for more information. Austin is also the designer of Realis, a diceless role-playing game of mystical moons, mystery magic, impossible technology, and characters who deploy powerful sentences which become rewritten over the course of their saga to achieve the impossible. The game is being published by Possible Worlds Games, and Ashcan is available right now. You can find more information at thecalcutech.itch.io or check the show notes for more information. We sat down to play Orbital Blues, a lo-fi space western role-playing game from Soul Muppet Publishing about an unparalleled age, a galactic age, an age of bounty hunters, vagrants, and bleeding heart outlaws, the new rebel era, where the only thing worth a damn is the sweat off your back, the bullet in your chamber, and the fuel in your tank. The galaxy is a lawless expanse known as the Frontier Galaxy, and you are an interstellar outlaw. Together with your ship and your crew, you eke out a living in the Frontier Galaxy and chase down the intergalactic dream of freedom and success. The game is Bruce Springsteen in space, and that should alone tell you how excited I am to play it. You can find more information about that at soulmuppetstore.co.uk or check the show notes for more information. And of course, as a note, we use the solo rules for the game published by Elliot Davis, Orbital Blues The Wanderer. You can find a link to that in the show notes as well. And with all that said, let's go ahead and throw it over to me in the past so that he can get started with the show. Take it past me. Thanks, future me. I am beyond stoked. I'm sitting down with Austin Walker today. Austin, thanks so much for coming on Party of One.
Fly, Eagles, fly.
Go Birds. Go Birds. We have been waiting a week and a half. I don't know when this is going to air necessarily, but like this is being recorded on Wednesday, February 19th. We have been waiting 10 days to capture on mic that Philadelphia Eagles are your Super Bowl champions. It's great. I'm feeling great. The energy.
It's fantastic. It's reparative, I would say.
Exactly the right word. And it's so funny because now I think I have settled at this exact moment. I have settled into the weird it's life has come back to normal.
Yes. This is what people don't understand is it's sometimes easier to have a bad team.
Yeah.
Because
you don't have this last week was a blur. And now I've kind of the image that I think has really summed it up was the seeing shared around the picture of Charlie Kelly or Charlie Day, yes. Charlie Kelly and on the West Coast after they did it Bog style. And he just goes, so what now?
Yeah,
what do
exactly.
now?
Yeah, what do you do now? For me, it's like the weeks before, the weeks leading up are just torture. In fact,
it was
all the playoffs.
The stress level was at 11 for week. And like, truly it was, I figured every single game that we played, every single game that the Eagles played, I was like, this was the end of a good run.
Yeah, great run. We did it. Eagles are going to eagle it. Like, here we go. No, turns out.
And then they kept going. And every time I'm like, oh no, now way more stress. Like the second, I can tell you it wasn't even the NFC Championship game. It was like halfway through the snow game against the Rams, where I was like, I think that we might go to the Super Bowl. And I could feel the hope bleed in. And it just I was like, oh no, my day has been ruined.
Yeah. I was watching that game in the Dallas Fort Worth airport on my phone because I was traveling that week and was just like, completely. It was very fun to watch that game in Dallas, is what I will say.
Sure.
But stressful. You're like, I can't believe we're going to lose here, and then. Oh, what if we don't lose? What if, in fact, we win? What if this is the road?
What if the second that I felt that what if question, I was like, oh God, now it's going to hurt way worse.
Exactly.
But it
anyway, hey, we were supposed to play games and not just talk about the Eagles, I guess, right?
I mean, theoretically, but yes. Sometimes history happens and we need to talk about it in real time.
So true.
Thank you so much for coming on the show. I'm so excited. But before we dive in and play some games, why don't you take a moment and let our lovely listeners at home know about anything you've got going on that you might want them to know about?
Sure. I'm Austin Walker. I am chiefly a podcaster, but also a tabletop game designer, I guess officially now. You might know me from Friends at the Table, an actual play podcast, where we are currently playing a game called, I guess we don't know when this is coming out. Actually, when this comes out, we will likely be playing a game of Fabula Ultima by Emmanuel Galetto. In a new setting for us. It's a great new way to jump on the show. We've never, it's a whole new campaign. So we've been going to listen to Friends at the Table. I'm the GM over there. There are a bunch of great players, and that game has been great so far. We have a bunch of episodes in the can as of recording this. It's been a blast. Currently, as of recording this, we are currently releasing a campaign of a game called Realis, which is a game that I made. There's an Ashcan version of it available now on itch.io, on the calcutech.itch.io, or on the Possible Worlds itch page, or on Possible Worlds' own homepage, I think, also. Realis is a science fantasy game where you use sentences. You characters are made up. They're composed of sentences that both get stronger and also kind of get kind of carved down with new qualifications. They almost like subtractive sculpture. You're sculpting your character over time by saying what they can't do, but what they can't do actually makes them more powerful at what they can do. And it's good. I'm having a great time seeing people come up with content for it, coming up with different settings and stuff like that. So it's been a joy. That's available now. And a full version of that, a non-Ashcan release of that, including a physical release, we're aiming to launch early next year. Or at least we're aiming to, have pre-orders available early next year is my current timeline, I believe.
It's so sick is the
Thank
thing.
you.
Like, truly. And also, speaking of
Hell yeah.
Realis and Possible World games, I saw that list of games come out, and I was like, hey, look.
Whose name's there? Wait a second.
I was like, there's a couple names on there that it truly, like, sitting down and going like, hey, look, those are our games and we're recording together. And the thrill there was immense, is what I will say.
The timing was excellent, huh?
Could not have worked out better.
Have you talked about your game yet? Have you talked about Canonize?
I can talk about it now, on and off, but so we are releasing with Possible World Games Canonize, which is like 6 years of my life, I think, has gone into the game.
I get it. I do.
Well, and part of that is because Canonize is a game about like pop culture archaeologists freeing the world and freeing magic and knowledge from the evil corporation with a smiling cartoon mascot that has taken joy and magic from us over 100 years. And the way that you play that game is with an actual book club putting their favorite things from their favorite stories onto a conspiracy board. And then in between sessions, you go and like watch the movie that your friend has been telling you to watch for 5 years. Like, but a big part of that was that it was very specifically in its original form inspired by like a particular comic book that I love with all of my heart, that is one of the most impactful comic books I ever wrote. And like originally, like it was very much a like homage to that comic book. And then the creator of that comic book was outed as like a horrible abusive monster. And so like I just threw the game away for like 3 years of just like, well, this is it. I can't touch this thing. And then finally I kind of like came back to it. I found it on my hard drive and was like, let me give this a read. You know what? It's too important to me to not finish this. And so like now it's going to be out in the world. And like, there's a very kind of emotional energy to that, right? Of like being able to create a thing that captures the feeling that this particular work made me feel, and being able to say like, I'm doing it on my terms, very specifically.
Yeah, well, the fact that the pitch on the game is actually kind of about the way in which the things that we love happen to be served to us on poisoned platters is already kind of fascinating, so intersects in a way that's difficult but interesting.
It does. I'm glad that it's coming out into the world, and I'm so stoked it's coming out into the world alongside Realis. Like it all fucks extremely hard, and I'm so excited.
It's so good. That whole list, if people haven't seen, Tyler Cremrine and Possible Worlds Games just announced a collection of 12 games coming out over the next 3 years. I think 2028 is when I think it's coming out.
Yeah, so 3 years.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I think there's even more coming, but I'll zip my mouth on that one. I'll let Tyler drop further announcements. So get ready.
Get ready. And speaking of getting ready, we got a game to play today that I am so excited about. We are playing Orbital Blues. It is a game about bounty hunting, smugglers chasing destiny in the galactic rock and roll future. I'm so stoked. Let me ask you this. What is it about this game that's got you excited? What are you bringing to the table for today's game?
I think that there's a couple of things I think are just like super, super cool. I love how the solo rules in Wanderer structure the narrative. I think more broadly, I like how it's a real interesting blend of kind of OSR and like narrative game, story game things.
Yeah, very much
so. I think if you were coming to this with an OSR background, you'd be like, oh yeah, this is a cool OSR game. And if you're coming to this with the story games background, you'd be like, oh yeah, this is a cool story game. You wouldn't, if you weren't like closely attending to what it's doing, you wouldn't see the way it's blending both of those, you know?
Yeah, I really like that. It's really pulling the best from both kind of design spaces into something that is, and like, I mean, the thing that I think has most excited me flipping through it truly, I always talk a lot about how like there are so many pieces of making a game that are like almost invisible in like the way that we graphic design and image and stuff, and like the actual book, both the core book and the Wanderer, which are the solo rules, which we're going to be kind of bashing into a GM-less 2-player format, are so like the way the core rulebook is so full of just like the richest, most like realized, playful sort of homages to rock and roll and sci-fi. Like, it really is impossible, I think, to flip through this book and not feel like pulled in a direction towards like imagining your story in this space.
100%. It's one of the most flavorful books in terms of visual design too that I've seen in a long time. It's absolutely gorgeous. The use of different typefaces, the use of the in fiction, like advertisements and election announcements and, wall signs and bar and beer brands and everything else. And there's like photos and stuff. And then even the way that then that kind of pivots in Wanderer to be these kind of, almost, not quite, what's the word I'm looking for? Not quite, not pointillist. What is the expressionist? Not quite expressionist, but these kind of it's a little sketchy in the visual design.
It's a little bit. It's less refined and it's less kind of like almost multimedia. Like it kind of has
the main game is very multimedia. It's a collage, you know.
Yeah, and this really kind of like pulls back a little bit, but it really kind of matches the vibe of. This is not a story of living in the moment. This is a story of like looking back over the hazy memories of a life. And like, it really does very subtly move that narrative place in a way that is extremely cool.
I also just think things like the way damage works is really good in combat. You roll 3 dice, you take the 2 that can clear the check difficulty, and the remaining one is your damage. Great, clean. Cool,
clean, easy, evocative. It feels like there's a half-second tactical element to it where you're kind of like weighing that decision of like, I really would like to use this 1. I really would like to use this 6, but it's great. It's top tier. And so we are going to be, as we mentioned, playing the Wanderer, which is like originally designed as a solo story about like a particular person reflecting back on their life. We're going to kind of like use this as an inspiration for a series of scenes about the relationship between 2 people out in the galactic space, which means we're going to be drawing some cards and pulling some prompts. Have you created a character, and do you have any notes on a character?
You know, I have a few. I have a couple of. I have some direction. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah.
I have some big idea. I have like 2 directions to potentially go in, and I'm curious how they'll bounce off of yours.
So I have a character in mind because like in the spirit of the game, when I sat down to like think about like who do I want to play or like what's my character vibe. I just popped open my most played songs of 2024 and was I'm just going to pull number 1 and then see like what character idea comes from that. And I'm very happy with where I've landed. So I'm going to be playing the character Janice Laika. Janice is a mover of things, a kind of a smuggler, kind of a logistics person. Like I get people in places where they need to go, especially when they need to get there without anybody knowing that they're going there. and she has been at this job for a very long time. And so there is that, like, this is a woman that is like weighed by the weight of my job is that somebody will never look back in my direction. My job is that something will disappear like from sight immediately. And so like that is sort of the big picture of what I'm working with. I think that's the character vibe that I've got fleshed out.
That's a great one. The two directions I had that I was thinking about were someone who did time for a crew, went to jail, got busted, kept their mouth shut, and is now out on the other side and is like, okay, do I get back in? Things have changed out here. I don't know how to keep up. The tech has changed. My skills are replaced by new types of, I don't know, androids, automation, whatever that looks like, or just my local scene isn't the scene it was before. You know, the up and comers that were people who were like the annoying kids on the block are now in charge of the block. You know, the other one was a fence. You have a lot of stories in this genre, this kind of like space cowboy genre, and like kind of the broader cyberpunk genre and crime stories, where like the fence is a side character, the person who like, okay, the crew does the heist, and then they get the thing that's for the person, you know, and they give it to the person who they can flip it for. But there's always another character who's like, oh, if you happen to steal some data, or hey, in order to get what we need for the big heist, first we have to deal with this other guy who has what we need, but only if we do a job for him. And I started thinking, like, being a fence is partly interesting because you're one of the worst people in the world. You're often enabling like all of the great abuses of, for instance, like art crime, where like that connects to a bunch of truly terrible things. But there's part of it that like doesn't get told, which is like, if you're the fence in a space, you know, if you're a fence in the Cowboy Bebop world, it's not just you have to connect the space yakuza up with whoever the space thieves are who are stealing returning some stuff or whatever. You often have to like be a smuggler also. And so the idea of like it's almost like being the face of the smuggling operation, where it's not just I'm smuggling contraband. It's like, this is stolen goods and we need to find a buyer. I'm going to find a buyer. And so I kind of think that there is an overlap there with your.
That feels like a very natural pairing. If like I am moving things and you're finding a place for them to land, like that's a very good working partnership, and I'm very like into that dynamic, especially seeing these characters bounce around at different points in their lives and different points in their relationship. And
you can imagine different highs and different lows at different times.
Yeah, very much so.
So
the power dynamic is going to shift in very specific ways. So we've got 3 stats. We've got muscle, which is strength of your arm and the bulk under your jacket. Grit, your ability to never give up and never give in. And savvy, the speed of your arm, the pull of the trigger finger, the speed of the cat, and the wit of the Joker. Your character tends to be very good at something, pretty good at another thing, and average at the third. So you're going to put +2 into one of those, +1 into another, and +0 into your third.
I think I have to be a 2 savvy, a 1 grit, and a 0 muscle.
I think I'm going to go 2 grit, 1 muscle, 0 savvy. I think that feels
that makes sense.
Great. I was really on the fence about whether I wanted to put 1 into savvy or muscle, but I think like you putting 2 into it, and also I think it makes that character very interesting if like it's not if she's not Han Solo, right? She's not the mastermind, or rather, more accurately, she is Han Solo in that she's very often sort of the person that's more pointed in a direction rather than running the operation.
Han Solo actual, not Han Solo. I mean, like, this is a game
Han Solo movies, not Han Solo books.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I'm glad we're on the same page.
100. We just covered the Thrawn trilogy over on A More Civilized Age, actually, and we got a good dose of Han Solo books. But, like, a pretty good one. Like, I think that Han Solo was great in those books, but yeah, anyway.
So now we're going to define our crew. This is one of the best mechanics in the entire game. I love this with all of my heart. There is a list of cool nicknames, and we are going to pick one off of this list to define like who we are. Their names like the Muscle, the Money, the Crack Shot, the Lonely Heart, the Dreamer, the killer, the city slicker, the heartbreaker, the cleaner, the brave. We're just gonna pick this to kind of like define a little bit of like who we are and who we are kind of as the world knows us and how as we kind of relate to each other.
Yeah. Whew. I went first on stats. I think I have to let you go first.
I can pull first. What's the vibe? What's her vibe? Like the driver feels almost too easy.
Mm-hmm.
The cleaner feels very nice. I like the cleaner.
That's good.
I like the cleaner very specifically because like there's an implication that it focuses in on what my working style is, or what like my kind of specialty is, which is not necessarily just like delivering things to a destination, but like making things disappear, whether that is through violence or logistics or something else entirely.
That's really good.
Like you don't come to Janus because you want something moved. You come because you want something to not be here anymore. And that is a very specific and evocative arrangement.
I'm going to go with a weird one because I think it makes us ask a question about the world. I want to be the Yankee.
The Yankee. Okay. I like this.
Suddenly suggests a spatiality and a sociology about what the world is. Either can't, you know what I mean? And the same with like the hick is on here. That also suggests something. What is the Yankee in our space rock and roll future? Is it someone who is from like a metropolitan station or space colony? Is it someone who is from a certain sort of money? Are we looking at Yankee in terms of relationship during some sort of conflict? You know, I don't know what it means, but it means but if someone's calling me that, it means I'm out of place in some particular way.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And even like, if you think about the word the Yankee meant something different in Europe in the mid 20th century than it did in the late 19th century in the South, for instance, you know?
Right. There's something very compelling. And like, it's out of place, but in a very different way than the hick is, right?
100%.
Like it's a very specific kind of out of place that like there's visual and mental kind of associations that go into that because it kind of points us in a direct, like it points us towards how you fit into a social situation in a way that's really captivating.
Yeah. So I think in my case, I think the idea of coming from some space New York, right, or space Northeast, which is to say old money inside, new money outside. Does that make sense? Like,
yes. Yeah.
But money. That doesn't mean I necessarily have money, but the place does. There's a sort of always wears a nice suit, maybe a too nice suit for the place. Always has a I don't know how, I don't think I'm going to lean into any sort of particular accent here, but I think maybe dialectically or word choice, I'll try to lean into certain sorts of phrasings, and a sort of like, do you think you're above it all type of position. You know what I mean?
Sure,
like,
yeah.
So I think that's where I'm going with the Yankee.
We've got our heart and our blues. Heart is your ability to get hit and keep going. Blues is a measure of your character's past sins, advances, and guilty hangups. We'll accrue those during play. So we will pick a gambit, which is kind of a special ability. The Wanderer suggests we pick from like a narrower list of like how they're going to interact with those particular rules. But if we're already bashing and hacking things,
yeah, we may as well go from the cool big list, right?
Yeah, and then we're also going to pick a trouble. But we're not going to fill out that trouble because answering those questions in play is going to like collect our tokens and kind of allow us to lay cards on the table in a fun way.
I love it.
What's my, let me see. Let me flip through these options. What's my gambit? The list is so evocative and I'm trying to decide, this is going to like color who this character is a little bit. Cause like the obvious choice is something like a wheels.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure if that's the direction that I want to go, but I think it's the direction I'm going to go.
Part of me is like, one shot, do the obvious thing, and that's okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. For me, I think it's kind of coming down to either Ace Pilot or Wheels, but
sure.
The idea of this character, like having a sweet ride, very actually like increasingly important to me as I sit and think about it.
Hell
like
yeah.
The idea that her whole thing is, you know, making things disappear, getting things out of the way, getting things like quiet, but also like my car is the coolest, flashiest thing that I could possibly justify.
Yeah.
Very satisfying.
I think I'm a little torn between well-traveled, which is interesting for the same reason the Yankee is, which is you've seen almost every spaceport in the Frontier Galaxy once per arc. When you arrive at a new planet, city, or spaceport, you can announce that you've been here before, tell the group about your time here, generate a contact or location you know well, gain a blues. Really cool. The idea of being like, because that helps me fill in the idea that there is a central, you know, central station, central colony, whatever that is. And I'm not there, actually. I'm from there, but I'm bouncing all around the world. But I'm going to go instead, and again, play it, you know, very straightforward with Heard It Through the Grapevine. You know everything and everyone. Once per arc, roll a savvy check to discover something advantageous about the crew's current predicament. You roll with upper hand on all checks to gather rumors or obtain suppressed information. I can't say no to you gather or you roll with the upper hand. You basically roll with advantage on all checks and then any category. That's always a very attractive,
very character right to just be the person that knows things offhandedly. Like it's very good. That's a very good character beat. I'm into that energy a lot.
And you still get the once per arc cool ability. It's not an automatic success in the same way that well-traveled is, but it's still flavorful and good.
And now we're going to pick a trouble, but we're not going to answer the questions of these troubles. What's the energy? I love that one of them is specifically you're a normal, like, ordinary person. You're a normal, well-functioning person, no angst, no trauma, nothing. How did you end up here?
Yeah.
So funny. Such a funny option to include of just like, I'm having a great time. I don't know what's going on with everybody else. Okay, I've got my option. I know what it is because it's a real pivot for the character, but it adds very specific, compelling angst. I'm going with struggling artist. You're an artist, and one day they'll recognize you. They all will. It adds to the sense of like my character's specialty and like job and skill set all point her towards like making people disappear. But the idea that like, you know, there's something very compelling to me about this character, like wanting to express herself in a specific way and like adding to that feeling of wanting people and things to stick around is very compelling. Like having a very clear hook for like people, like everyone is kind of leaving. I wish I had something to hold on to. Feels very good.
I'm also pivoting. I think we are both. There is a sort of professional structure being revealed here, I think, between us.
Okay.
I'm taking a higher cause. You have a religious creed, and whilst this is not a trouble in itself, such ideologies rarely mesh well with those of the interstellar outlaw. I'm continuing to reveal something about where I'm from. We will detail what the higher cause is later, what the religion is later. I guess that's not true. To answer 2 during character creation, huh?
Yes.
Does it say that in yours too?
Yes, it does. And then it says, but the Wanderer says not to answer the questions because we're going to discover those
in play. Yeah, that's fine. Let's do that way.
Because that's like, because every time we answer one of these, we're going to gain a blues token. So that'll speed us more through like collecting blues tokens and drawing cards as we get towards the actual like big showdown.
That makes sense.
Okay, so I
will say my higher cause tied to the place I am, I think.
That feels right. That feels
right. You know
what
I mean? That's part of what it is to be a Yankee in this world, is to be part of whatever this big central monopoly, you know, metropolitan religion is, you know.
That feels really good. That feels really, really good. And I think I'm pretty sure that's character creation. Oh, I was good. The game says you can optionally pick a memento, but
come on.
That's the most not optional thing that I've ever encountered in my life, is knowing that like a memento that my character has. So I'm pulling up that list immediately.
I remember it being a pretty good list. Let's see here.
Okay. Yeah. Sure.
Who?
I'm into this. This adds a lot to my character's aesthetic immediately. I've got antique sneakers.
Oh, that's so good. Do you think that's tied to your artist? You ended up not going with artist, did you? Or did you end up going?
I'm going with artist because and like that immediately you saying that has told me exactly what these sneakers are, and also a little bit about what my art is. An art that I genuinely get so excited when I see, because I was gonna just go basic and say these are old school Chuck Taylor high tops, but they are specifically the white canvas Chuck Taylor high tops with a full canvas painting on them, like a full like oil painting that runs across them. She's probably got multiple pairs of like old sneakers that like she just collects and paints and hangs on a shoe rack and matches them to the job and to her mood that day. Like that is the thing that she paints, is like shoe murals very specifically.
I got pet of your choice.
Oh, fuck.
I got a lemur. I got a little lemur, buddy.
Oh, I love a little lemur. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Oh, my name, by the way, I've not said it, is Kelton Cash.
Kelton Cash.
Kel for short. Cash, Cashe. Kelton with a K. Kelton.
I don't know how I immediately interpreted that Kelton had a K in it. That feels like, I was like already typing it out. I was like, that,
of course.
I don't know how I immediately called that in.
Can I hear yours one more time also? So I'll write
Janus, that is Janus. Janus Leica.
Of course. Perfect. Good.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Okay, we've got our characters. Now we're going to like see some moments of those characters' lives. To do that, I'm going to ask you, Austin, an important question. I have 2 decks of cards in front of me.
Okay.
Do you want to go with public domain comic book art?
Ooh.
Or like a very nicely designed Golden Age Superman artwork?
The first one then is multiple different characters.
Yeah, it's all different. Let's public.
Go with that.
Okay, there's
a lot of great ones in here. That's really fun. Okay, great.
There's a lot of really great odd ones in here. The one that I know is one of the cards is a skeleton ripping open a trench coat and revealing like, I am death. Oh! And like that's a lot of the vibe throughout, and I think it's going to add some good energy to what we're doing here. So we have, and I guess I want to ask the question, and we'll kind of see a lot of this in play, like the baseline of our relationship that we'll kind of flesh out as we go. Sounds like we have a working relationship where like you connect me with clients, you connect me with destinations, and like I make stuff disappear. Does that feel correct?
That seems right. And then I imagine there might also be elements of, hey, can you give me a ride to this place? Hey,
yeah, sure.
I'm moving this. If you help me move this, I'll get you set up with another client. You know,
that feels good. That feels really good.
Sort of symbiotic relationship that sometimes feels like we're crew because I'm on the ship fairly often or whatever. You know?
I like that. I really like that.
Or maybe like not all the time, but have been over the course of years, because that's the way Wanderer is set up, is that there's a sort of looking back element. Even if we're not going to lean into that, there's a sort of flexibility of time the way we're playing. You know, it's not one event, it's scenes through a life, right?
And so how that's going to look is that we have a bunch of scenes of like different phases of our lives. We're going to draw a card. Generally, we'll make a single roll to kind of resolve that. I think that we'll kind of decide if we want to play it as more of a scene and make individual rolls or what that's going to look like. But we'll make a roll. We'll decide if we keep the card. And then as we play through the scene and kind of describe our experiences, we'll collect some tokens and answer some questions. And then once we've collected enough tokens and once we have like a 5-card poker hand in front of us, we'll see how our collective story or how like a chapter of our story has played out.
Sounds good.
So the first card, would you like the first card?
Yeah, I'll take the first card.
Okay. Our first card is the 10 of Spades.
Okay. I guess we should say for the listener that the book is set up with a collection of prompts, almost like something like Avery Alder's oh my god, Quiet Year. Game I played 1,000 times. It's late. I'm tired.
I get it.
I also, let me be clear. I picked the time. I made it late. To be clear, Quiet Year. That style of narrative prompting. And so there's one for each. There's a set of things for each suit, and there's ace through king on each. Or I guess 2 through ace.
There is a mechanic that like we have not, that like we left off, that I might have to go back and like map out, because the Wanderer does introduce the best thing in the world, which is a playlist building mechanic.
This is true.
And I have to ask the question.
Okay.
Doing the full diet, what's the word? Not diegetic, anachronistic thing
Oh yeah.
of the distant future being exclusively scored by modern day music.
Yeah.
What's the song your character is putting on the aux, like when they have control of the speaker?
Oh God. Okay. I thought I had it, and then I think maybe I didn't. It is "You Better Watch Your Step" by Elvis Costello. "Watch Your Step" by Elvis Costello. It's just called "Watch Your Step." Sure, you haven't heard is a banger from Trust.
So going back to what I was saying about like pulling the top song off of my 2024 list,
Yes.
and just so my song when I have control of the ops is the Mountain Goats "Clean Slate."
Oh, banger. Absolutely good.
Banger.
Love it.
And you see where that energy, where that character energy came from very specifically of, no one lasts for long in this profession.
Yep.
That's the song. So because this is the 10 of spades,
yes.
Every time we draw spades, we're going to add a song to the playlist.
That rolls.
And make a blues check when we're done with the scene to see if we get an additional blues token in addition to answering any questions or triggering any like blues that we may collect. So this may speed us closer to story resolution.
Gotcha.
And so the scene that we are both facing, and we'll kind of collectively, bounce back and forth about like what we want this to look like.
Yeah.
We are confronted by a family member we can never speak to again.
Oof.
What a start.
What a banger. What a start. What an incredible way to kick it off.
What an opening play.
Oh. My daddy was a preacher.
Sure.
I never officially walked away from the faith, obviously. I think I still wear a necklace. It's like a necklace that has like a single orb that's surrounded by a smaller. It's like an orrery, effectively, but like a necklace, and it's like it has some sort of gravitational field that it can. When I pull it up or like I hold it, it can rotate, but otherwise it kind of locks against like flat against my chest. So I still wear that symbol. He was a preacher. I left. I was being groomed to be his next man up. And instead of sticking around and taking over the flock or whatever, the church, I left. And I left with the knowledge of how to talk to people and talk people into things and play on loyalties and give people what they want and help people through hard times and the ups and downs of all of that.
Love that. Really, really love that. So is this, I think like, the question I'm going to throw to you is like, how much in the early days of our partnership and the later days of is there maybe a moment where this came to a head or this came out or like Janice became aware of this?
Yes. I think something, a job that you had was going to cross us close to my family.
Sure.
We had to go just barely into central, space, whatever that was, or you had to steal something from the church, not my dad's church or something, but like the church general, or smuggle something from it.
I really love the angle that like we are on because like there is something so rich about the idea that like we are on a job. I imagine the scene that I kind of want to throw in is like we are mid-job. There is there is contraband, there is illegal cargo in the back of our ship.
Yeah. Do you have a name for your ship, by the way?
We have to name our ship.
We gotta name the ship.
For
Sorry,
sure.
I didn't mean to.
No, you're so right. I know there's stats for the ship that we also got to assign.
We'll get there. Yeah.
Name of the ship. What is the name of the ship? What's the vibe?
What is the vibe? Is it a ship that you? How did you get the ship?
I think the ship.
And did it keep the name that it already had, or did you rechristen it?
Keeping the name of the ship is really satisfying because like the idea that the ship is not like the ship is very specifically separate from my car. Like that is like, I think I have a ground car, and the ship is like markedly different than that. And the ship's name is Seeing if I can pull what's a song that feels very.
Do you want to stay mountain goats? Are you trying to broaden out? What are you looking for?
I'm looking for like a very kind of generic because like
because it's not your ship, right?
It's not my ship. It's a very generic like working class song that maybe like is I'm gonna say something like Springsteen, but worse.
But worse.
Like
no,
who
I
is
get you. Well,
who is the lesser Springsteen?
It really depends on who you talk to. I don't want to throw any elbows. You know what I mean? I don't want to say John Mellencamp or Tom Petty. You know what I mean?
I had looked up John Mellencamp songs specifically.
I went to Jack and Diane first, which is a bad name for a spaceship.
But the like that's not that one's not great. But like the Wild Night is a very kind of
perfect. That's
like that
perfect.
feels very named that way, like as like a cool badass thing, but like has lost all meaning associated with it.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not really our like we don't have any association with Wild Night. Like it's just the name of the ship and it's what's painted on the side of it. And Janice has never thought to herself, I should paint over what somebody else painted on it.
Because there's always other stuff that you could do with to the ship, right? Like the engines need repair, or it's better to get a cool mini fridge in the ship than it is to get the side of it repainted. The name isn't functional in any way. You know,
the name is strictly there. It's the Wild Night by happenstance.
Yeah.
And I think we are like at a stopover at a diner. Close enough to where you grew up.
Yeah.
Where there is somebody there that recognizes you. And the question is whether or not like, so I guess I'm going to throw this to you. Like that's the setting, right?
Yeah.
Like we're in this, like this very kind of diner, truck stop, galactic holdover location. Yep. And somebody recognizes you from your old life, from the life that doesn't speak to you anymore. Somebody who's maybe a friend to your dad, like in like that small town, like somebody maybe a generation younger, but still like friends with your dad because they are somebody in the community.
Right. No, they call me Brother Cash. Right.
Yeah.
They go, Brother Cash, you know, like that style of recognizing you from across the room. And I'm like head down instantly across from you because, you know, I look at you with eyes that say, I'm sorry. I know I'm not bad to bring attention to us in any way. And then I stand up to separate myself from the booth we're in and catch this person halfway. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's so good. Cause I think like, there's a moment before you do that, and I think like Janice sits back down, but there's a very clear moment where Janice reads that eye line read as like, I will get rid of this person. Like I won't hurt him, but like I will tell them you are mistaken, and I will make it unmistakable that you need to like be on your way right now before you stand up. And then just kind of sits back down and like almost a grin on her face of like, okay, let's see how this one plays out. Let's watch how this goes. And it's like, Brother Cash, like I never like, I mean, word was we were never going to see you around these parts again.
Oh, well, you know, in my journeys, I wind up many places. Great to see you. I hope the congregation well.
I mean, this is, I mean, you know, there's a picnic happening planet side like later today. Are you gonna be swinging by? I mean, you know, the whole congregation's gonna be getting together.
What time is it gonna be?
Actually, what time is it now? Oh my God. It's I mean, it's not now, but it's almost now. Like there is like a clear, like, this person, he like does the check symbol and like grabs some credits and drops them on the counter of the thing and starts like getting stuff together. Like, it's like now it's going to be running for the next few hours. I mean, like if you're here, like, you know, I think everyone would love so much if you did a quick stop by.
Yeah. You know what? Yeah, I'll be there.
And I think this is where I'm going to call for a roll. And I'm turning to I think it's going to be either a because this is a very important question for you and for Kel. Like, is this the truth or is this a lie? That's going to determine if it's savvy or if it's grit.
If it's grit, right? Because if it's the truth, I have to go do it.
You have to go do it, and you have to like steel yourself for that. If it's savvy, you've got to make this person believe that you're right behind him. And I think like there's a moment where Janice like hears you say that and like eyebrows raised and kind of has the question, are we making a detour with a bunch of guns in our
it's savvy.
Trunk?
Yeah, no, it's so juicy though.
Milkshake straw in her mouth.
It's savvy for a good reason, for a long-term good reason, I think. It's savvy.
Okay.
So my savvy is 2. So the difficulty in this game is always an 8, is my understanding.
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
So it's 2d6 plus 2.
2, yeah.
Correct? All right. Do you want to roll it since you have dice in front of you, or should I
pull, I can give it a roll.
Should I roll?
I can give it a roll.
All right.
That's a 12 total. That's a big success. Wide, like, great. I think like they are there's like a gasp, and like you almost feel the entire diner gasp, and you don't realize at first blush like how many eyes are on this interaction. The hands on your shoulder, like I'm so happy to hear that. Everyone is going to be so excited. I'm going to go grab my coat. I'm going to get in the ship. I guess see you in a little bit.
Just a little bit. I'll be right behind you.
And right on the opposite shoulder, Janice. So we're not going, right?
And I think I'm going to fill in a little detail here. One of the questions of the for the background is or not the background, what is it actually called? The trouble, the troubles.
Yep.
The trouble asks like, what are the tenets of this belief, of this religion? Is one of them, and one of them is that you can only eat food that was made on one of these central planets. Mm-hmm. And it's not a dietary restriction in the like category of animal or something. So for instance, if they have duck on that planet that year, awesome, you can have duck. They do not have duck on that planet this year. Nevertheless, my duck bacon shows up with my duck eggs.
That's great.
And I sit down across from you and get to eating.
Love that so much. And I think like kind of like sits back. Janice is having the day of her life. Honestly, like watching that, there is this like kind of dance of like, I think there's like a dance, and I think this tells me a little bit about Janice, that like she's got the grin on her face, but clearly kind of like waits a second and just kind of gives you like so you good?
Yeah, I'm great. I'm great.
Okay, good, because I'm having the best day of my life. And like there's a clear moment of like checking the vibe of you before she starts to needle you. Because like I think there's a little bit of
I've given the go ahead effectively for you to bully me.
That's I think where she's at is very specifically like hold the line until, and then the second that you say you're great, like the leans back, feet away from the plate but definitively on the table, like shoes now visible, like kicking back and like sipping on a milkshake, like great. Because honestly, I mean, I know that we said no, but like I could go for a picnic. I'm just saying.
No, we're not going. No.
Just saying. I mean,
you wouldn't like anything about this. Let me tell you.
You're saying I wouldn't enjoy some home-cooked food?
Not this home-cooked food.
Okay, I'm just saying. I mean, like, I think that sounds lovely, but who am I to judge? Who am I to judge?
Do you want to stay on this prompt for Janice, or do you want to move to a different one? So we get a blues there because
you get a blues because you answered a question, and okay. Make me a blues check. Add your grit to possibly get a second blues token.
Okay, so that is my grit is only a 1, I believe.
Okay, so I'm going to roll 2d6. That is a 10. That's another blues token.
So I'm up to 2. Or is blues shared, or is it per person?
We'll share. I think that makes sense. That feels right. I'm certain that there's a specific rule around it in the game, but for our purposes, we'll say we share it, especially since we're kind of bashing rules together.
Yeah, sounds good. Do you want to save this prompt, or do you want to draw your own card and go somewhere else?
I'm going to draw this own card. Tell us what the song is about how goddamn complicated family is.
Oh, is that that's what the thing was? Ooh.
That's what we got to add to this.
Great question. How goddamn complicated family is.
Let's see. I've got the 7 of diamonds. What's our 7 of diamonds prompt? What do you think on that?
Yeah, thank you very much.
What's the vibe here? Diamonds is situations you barely made it out of. Okay.
Ooh.
Situations you barely made it out of. And this is the 7. So this is a bullet that you put yourself in the path of. Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. Great.
Do you think that is... do you think that you put your... I'm curious what would lead you to put your way in front of a bullet. Would you do it for me? Is there somebody else you would put yourself in front of it for? Is it a job that you put yourself in front of the bullet for?
That's such a good question. What's the vibe? Who am I putting myself in the path of?
My song is Belle and Sebastian's Get Me Away From Here, I'm Dying.
Very good. Very, very good. I think I have like an immediately silly answer, but like I think I'm gonna like lean on it. I think I'm gonna lean on it and find the genuine within the silly answer. Like I think we are in a fire. Like I think it is a. Okay, no, I got it now.
Okay.
This is maybe not the same job, but it's a similar kind of job. We are touching down in like a docking station.
Mm-hmm.
Walk it off the ship, and there is like a crime outfit waiting for us. Like we have been intercepted. Somebody knew what we were hunting for, or knew what we were smuggling, and like has our number. And I think the person or like who I would take a bullet for is Jessica.
Okay.
Which is of course my car.
Of course. I was ready for a last name. I was ready to get some details down.
So like the visual...
But you still want the details. What's up with your car?
The visual that I get is very specifically like the door opens, like our ramp comes down, standing directly in its path are like 4 guys with guns, and then out of a back hatch, a red convertible just barrels out of, like, blasts from the ship, crashes into the ground, starts tearing through. Bullets are flying in all directions. Is Kel in the car?
Yeah, of course, absolutely. I'm hanging out. Is it sorry? What type of car is it again? It's red.
I think it's a red. I'm gonna go easy and say red convertible because that's where my head
that makes
goes.
Perfect sense.
Like a convertible Thunderbird specifically.
I am hanging out the back of the rear seat, holding a suitcase that's overflowing with receipts or something that looks like receipts or like ticker tape or like something like that. It's a physical copy of data we've been stealing. The job required you to go in and print out some sort of, a mile of paper that we've stuffed into this suitcase. Yeah. And like a Lupin the Third cartoon, like I'm in the back holding as little bits of it are like streaming off the back. Bullets are hitting the car or coming at the car. I don't want to say your beautiful car has gotten hit yet necessarily.
I think I'm putting myself in the way. So I think there's a clear moment where like they are taking shots at the car and like there's a straightaway of tunnel. This is such Lupin energy. Straightaway the tunnel, slams down on the gas so that it locks, and she stands up with a machine gun of her own and like is shooting back in their direction, in part so that they take shots at her and not at the car.
Okay, so is this grit or is this savvy?
I think this is
because are you trying to take the hit for the car by standing up and making yourself the target, or are you trying to shoot them? Because if it's the former, that sounds like grit. Or do you think it's muscle?
I think it might be muscle. I think it might just be like trying to manhandle the entire situation.
Right,
muscle feels good to me.
Yeah.
In terms of just like standing up, it being muscle, this being muscle and like thinking of anime, like there is this is the Toriyama moment of like stands up, and I think how does Kel react when Janice pulls out like a rocket launcher? Like this is the cartoon, like all right, let's do this thing.
You had it in the glove compartment the whole time?
Always be ready.
Like, finally gets hold of the suitcase and, like, slams it down and, like, covers it with my whole body to try to, like, make sure none of it gets hit in the blowback, you know?
Great. The roll was not good. I'm so happy about that.
No.
So what happens? The roll was a 4, so that's a 5.
Ooh.
So like what happens is like we hit a car, like a cardboard, or not a cardboard, but like a particle board box, smash into a box, knocks Janice onto the hood. The rocket launcher goes up, hits the roof of this hallway. There's collapsing things. The car is sent like spiraling and flipping. Janice comes tumbling out of it, crashes into the ground. While like it looks up just in time to see 3 like suited mafia enforcers.
Big grin on their face, you know. They like, one of them has their gun over their shoulder, you know, like a big Tommy gun type thing over their shoulder at this point, because it's like, oh, this is done. You're done, you know. I think just comes over and grabs the case from me, you know.
And I think like I'm going big here. Stands up. Can I offer you a trade of equal value to that highly sought after data?
What do you have on offer? Says one of them.
And she kind of like stands and goes, I can give you 2 choices. And she like looks over at Jessica and she looks down at her shoes. Oh. Take your pick.
They're like, the one guy goes, the car, and then the other mafioso like hand across his, you know, his chest and is like, you don't know what she has on her feet, do you? We'll take the shoes.
God damn. Spent 3 days painting these things. Looks back at Kel.
Shaking my head.
This job better be worth it.
We'll get you some new paint. It'll be fine.
Doing the walking on concrete shuffle.
Oh.
Okay, yeah, fine. Gives a tap onto the back trunk of Jessica, like, it's okay, girl, we made it. We're all good. We're okay.
You're lucky you didn't blow this damn thing up.
Luck has nothing to do with it. That's a trusting of fate, and also trusting the only relationship that has kept me through for the last 10 years. Well, present company excluded, of course.
I was going to say, I understand. We all have things we believe in. You just believe in a car.
And this is rough because I'm looking at the failure question. Where does a fragment still sit within you? For sure. It's gotta, like, for sure. She just die-hearted herself real bad, didn't she?
I think so.
And is like gingerly tapping on the gas of driving to our destination, and like walks with a limp for forever after that.
Yeah. Your leg got caught with some of the rubble that came down from the tunnel or something. Yep. You know. Yeah, absolutely. Thankfully, the shoes weren't hurt by it.
The shoes are fine.
Leg.
The shoes are fine.
They're not yours anymore. At least not yet. Maybe we'll have an opportunity to get your shoes back.
I got other pairs. It's fine. Okay. I was really happy with those ones, but that is going to give me actually 2 blues tokens, which I think means that we move into the next section, because that puts us at 4 blues.
That puts us at 4. That's true.
Okay. Great. I think it's going to be tough to build a 5-card deck, a 5-card hand when we're cruising, but that's fine. We'll play it by ear.
What do we have now again?
Now we have the 10 of spades, and the opposing force has the 7 of diamonds.
Well, that's nothing.
So, now, that's high card versus high card. We're cruising.
All right.
Phase 2, what you took. You did what you had to survive, and for brief periods, thrive. Let's get our next card. Our next card is the Ace of Diamonds.
Ooh.
Let's see if we can capture this ace.
Diamonds is situations you barely made it out of.
And this is, you took a white knuckle joyride on the fastest vintage vehicle you'd ever seen. Great. What's the fastest vintage vehicle we've ever seen?
It's not Jessica. This is something else. This is the initial model that Jessica is the descendant of. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is the Enzo Ferrari to whatever the contemporary. You know what I mean? Whatever.
Yeah.
This
is a collectible. This is one. This is the
Don't
last.
Send me corrections. Anyway, continue.
The last of its kind. Beautiful gold finish across the entire thing. This is, I mean, trillion double dollars if it's worth a penny. Like this is cash is what this is.
I want to be clear. It's a joyride. We made a decision here. This is not theft. We're not stealing the car for us. We have decided maybe we did steal the car, but we're having fun with it instead of doing what we're supposed to do with it.
We are transporting it to a new destination. Somebody has bought it, and somebody has.
I found us a buyer. You know, maybe we. Okay, here's my framing for this. We actually stole this 3 years ago.
It's been sitting in storage for 3 years,
and every time you're like, "Can I just take it out?" I'm like, "No." We have to find a seller for it. If you put so much as a nick in it, we're going to lose value, and it won't be. We spent a fortune on that run. We spent so much money getting access to the car show where it was being, where it was being shown privately. That no, you don't get to take it out for a little joyride. And then it's like smash cut. We're doing the joyride. We found the buyer. The information about the buyer flips on screen. You know what I mean? And now we're behind the wheel. You're behind the wheel, I think. Well, I guess, it doesn't matter. We don't have to bounce back and forth my scene, your scene necessarily. And it could still be my joyride. I don't know.
So the moment that I think that it is, and I think this kind of decides who's behind the wheel, is like, we have a buyer.
Yeah.
I imagine we're like touching down. This is like a foresty planet. We're touching down in a field. We're meeting a buyer somewhere. Like wherever we are meeting the buyer, we are touching down in like a field nearby. And like there is like a very solemn moment where we step out, we wheel out the car, and like the goal is to drive it like half a mile to the destination so that our ship is out of sight when we make the handoff.
Right.
But there's like a clear moment of us standing over this car, just going like, all I'm going to say is if we were going to do it.
I know.
This is the moment to do it.
I know. Ugh. All right, we get to do it, but I get to drive.
I'm going to make a grit roll.
Just to see if you can stand
if I can bear.
Yeah.
I can't believe that can't be the result.
What did you roll?
That's straight up snake eyes.
Oh my god! Oh no! What do you do?
Who were you supposed to deliver it to before we crashed it?
Oh no! Dr. Jacob Wells.
Sure.
He's a car collector, and he's also a mafia surgeon, is what he is. He's the best surgeon for the mob. And he lives on this forested planet. In fact, it's like a forested moon that he owns half of. He owns like everything above the equator on this moon that he's bought with his mafia money. And he was expecting this thing 30 minutes ago. And now we've crashed it somewhere. Where have we crashed it?
God, it's really just in a ditch. It's just straight up.
It's not even a pretty crash. It's just you junked it.
You just jump. I think like there's a clear like, and what it is like. I so know how the crash happened, and like the failed grit roll particularly, like it was hubris. It was pure hubris. It was pure. I'm taking this. I am taking this. It's fine. I like it. Don't worry about it. Like, you're not a driver. You're not the driver. I'm the driver. I do the driving. It's going to be fine. Swerve to avoid hitting like a space deer.
Yeah. With 8 legs. Yeah. Straight into the ditch.
Chunk. Bumper fell off. Like, cause it's an old car. So it's also not especially sturdy.
No, not by any standards. I just look at you. I don't say a word. I just look at you, and then I get out of the ditch, out of the car, and then I like climb out the ditch. The dirt gets all over my suit. I don't even care at this point, right? Because the suit is nothing compared to what we just lost. And I take out my like phone. I have like an old flip phone, and it's like beep, boop, boop, beep. and I call the guy, or I call the guy's guy, and I say, we're here for the delivery. The car is ready to be picked up. I'm going to send over some coordinates. Unfortunately, my colleague and I have to go. Wire whatever you think is acceptable. Click. Let's go.
I think that she does not get out of the car. She is just like sitting in the driver's seat, staring forward. Like for so long, like there's the real ticking clock tension of like we see like three guys in motorcycles like load up to come pick up the car.
It's the three mafia guys from before. One of them
it's the three mafia guys.
One of them's wearing your shoes.
And she's just like watching, and they're getting closer, and like the tension is ratcheting, and finally she just like hangs her head, gets out, kind of quiet, like doesn't say a word, doesn't look you in the eye, just like walks off to be like nutted to the only thing that she says when you're off planet and when like the worst payday of years comes through, not enough to cover the expenses of like getting the car by any stretch.
Right, yeah.
One time I swerve.
It only takes one time.
Success rate's still very high. That's all I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Some things aren't about batting averages, Janice.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Should have never left Census. A thing that I want to shout out about this game that we're not going to do is it has a really cool money system, a credit and debt system, where it's kind of like every credit and every time money is sort of localized to the current arc of the game, where you stack up debts as you play or credits as you play and succeed at jobs and stuff. And then it kind of like cashes out at the end of an arc in a really fun way where you could end up deeper into debt in a way that can kind of snowball into future stuff, or where, you can put a little in savings, but like it's always so precarious. That little bit in savings is basically just a little buffer for the next time you go into debt. It's really, really clever and good.
It's really great. There's so much good stuff in this game, and like little tiny pieces that really like capture the theme and the vibe, but also just like are fun. Like straight up, like the only way to describe it is fun little knobs to play with. Like there's something really magical in games where they just kind of give you a fun little bit to play with, and like I treasured that with all of my heart.
Absolutely.
Our next scene is the 4 of diamonds. I really want to hold on to this because I don't like the number of diamonds that the opposition is holding at this moment. At gunpoint, you leaned in to call their bluff.
Ooh, okay.
I think that we're getting these shoes back. I'm not going to lie to you. I think that's where this has to go.
Okay. How do you think we got there? Was this you know what? I could, it's time. I'm going to use my ability here.
Do it up.
You know everything and everyone. Once per arc, you roll a savvy check to discover something advantageous about the crew's current predicament, or you roll the upper hand on all checks to gather rumors or obtain suppressed information. I think I want to frame something here, which is that I think at some point, and maybe I'll play a little bit here with the Wanderer framing device. I made a mistake. I was just remembering the time you crashed the car because I didn't want to remember a time that I crashed the car for you, whatever the equivalent of that was. And so what we're coming back in on is me being like, I have to make it up. I have to make it up for Janice.
I really like that.
And so I want to get you your sneakers back. And so I want to make and I think this might be the rare turn where we might have to make 2 rolls, if that makes sense. I think this first one, if I succeed on this first one, maybe you get upper hand on the follow-up.
That feels really good. That feels really good.
So let me, we happen to be on whatever the nearby like city hub planet is to that forest moon that we were on. And I realized, I bet those mafia guys are here somewhere. And so I put out a call. I started listening to how people are moving. I asked for favors, etc. So I want to roll the upper hand on a check to gather rumors and obtain suppressed information. I want to find that guy who's been showing up with your sneakers on for your shoes on for weeks or months or years. I love now, whatever that is.
I have an answer to that ties into one of my questions that like I'm really like excited to hear, and I want to throw in a complication how you roll. So give me the roll, and I'll give you the answer.
All right, 3d6. I'm taking highest because I'm rolling with upper hand.
Let's do it up. That's with savvy, so that's +2. That's a 9. That's a success.
Just barely. And then it's another diner, right? Mm-hmm. And you're at this moment, I think whatever I did to piss you off, it's still fresh in your mind. I don't know how you carry that, but I think that it's been recent enough. And make my order, my duck eggs, my duck bacon, and I slide a piece of paper over to you that has an address. And that's all. It has an address and a time, 9 p.m. or some 2800 hours, some ridiculous time on this planet, and a location. I don't know how goofy you want to get. I don't know if it's a casino or a church or a barbecue spot or wherever you want to frame the second half.
So
of this.
This is a thing that I maybe have used in games before. I can't remember, but like a real place that I have spent real time that is so important to me that it be this. It is it is like specifically the parking lot of a barbecue place that is housing a professional wrestling event in the parking lot. Oh my God,
incredible.
I think like one glance at the paper, and she is already limping towards the door, like touching the pistol on her belt, like no eyes on you, just like I'm going to do the goddamn thing that's going to get done here. And I think I'm going to make a muscle roll here.
Yeah, that seems appropriate.
Because I don't think that it's even like guns necessarily. I think it's just I'm gonna throw. And I think like she finds this guy very specifically, like showing off, pointing at the sneakers, putting like them up on a chair and pointing and like telling the story about how this is a Janus Leica. Like this is a Janus Leica, and like. People are like, oh, I thought that she had a whole deal that was going to come through. Like, I thought that there was going to be like a sponsorship deal. And he's like, yeah, apparently she just flared out and burned out. And guess who ended up with a pair of the originals? And that's when fists start flying. Oh, baby, that's an 8.
That's an 8. An 8 is an 8. An 8 is a success.
8 is an 8. 8's an 8. Whew. Okay, that's 2 cards for us. That's 2 cards in hand. I think like rolls up, just starts like throwing hands, grabs the sneakers, is like twirling them.
Everyone thinks it's a work. Everyone thinks it's a work. So no one gets involved, She does grab a chair and like start swinging it at one point, specifically to kind of play that up and kind of play the sense of like, don't get involved. This is all work. Grabs the shoes, like ties the laces, slings them over her shoulder, and like walks off. Just like cleans house, back on the ship. There's a quiet kind of moment. And just thank you for one. I got you something. It wasn't related to this, but like it feels like a good time to like give this to you. And she like walks into her room, posters on the wall, walks by an empty shoe tree, grabs an envelope of credits and like throws them in your lap. More or less the cost of like what we lost on the car deal. How'd you get this?
Don't ask any questions you don't want the answers to. It's done, and that's what matters.
Okay.
So that is going to be another. That's going to be another 2 blues tokens.
That puts us to 6 or 7.
I think that puts us to 7.
You answer the question here, right? You've answered one of your Shirley
I've answered a question
questions.
Of like why I never made it big was that I burned out. Was that I had the opportunity and burned out very specifically. Burned out under pressure, and I'm also relying on my talent here to like get you the cash of selling the remaining shoes in my shoe tree.
That's
like
2 blues. I love it.
All right, next card is the Jack of Diamonds. We are pulling all diamonds here. We are running interference on this fucking flush that the opposition's putting together. What is the Jack of Diamonds? You manage the ship's cannon as your crewmate navigated through a fleet of military ships. Oh boy, this feels really good. This feels really good to be an earlier moment of. This feels to be the earlier moment that like caused stress between us, whether successful or otherwise. So I'm gonna throw this into you and say like, successful or not, I think this is the moment that caused that tension.
Yeah.
Why are ships firing at us? Like, what is the situation that like, and why does Kel feel like it's their fault?
I think that I'm going to come back to my, my trouble here, which is both a trouble for how it's going, and a trouble for why we're in it to begin with. One of the tenets of my faith is not to kill people from the central system orbit, from Census. Mm-hmm. And there was a moment where between us and freedom was a situation where I could have put a bullet in someone's head. And I didn't do it. I put it in their leg instead. They called for backup. Now we're being chased. And I'm happy to blow up the mercenaries that are on our tail. But I'm specifically doing things like shooting ion blasts instead of our missiles, or I'm shooting for engines instead of shooting for, I'm shooting for afterburners instead of the engine that'll blow up the whole ship, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And so I actually think I'm going to roll on this. So one, you're pissed that I didn't take the kill shot. Then,
there's in your ear in comms. It's, hey, Cal. Hey, Cal, I love you, buddy.
I'm trying to earn that love. I'm trying to earn that love every day. Janice.
Value this friendship that we have.
Okay, well, what I need right now, if you value it, is clear comms so I can focus on getting us out of it.
Can't help but notice that you're not doing that, though. Can't help but notice
I'm doing
that
the best I can. I'm doing the best I can.
I can't help but I'm just saying, I'm clearing the comms after saying it doesn't feel that way. Over and out. That's all I'm saying. Over and out. And like, this passive aggressive ending.
Oh yeah. I think that for the reason I just said, I have to roll this with the opposite of the upper hand. What is the negative?
What is it called?
What is their disadvantage equivalent called?
It's fun and flavorful, and I want to make sure that we say it out loud specifically because it's great.
Oh, here it is. Against the odds.
Against the odds. Okay.
Yes, roll against the odds for tasks harder than the average stat check.
And I am gonna say, what do we think the Wild Knights? I think this is a good moment to flesh out the Wild Knight stats and roll with our ship stats.
That's a great idea.
We've got 3 things that are mobility, weapons, and systems. What do we think the arrangement is? Which will tell us a little bit about the history of this ship,
but not our decision. Importantly, like
the body mobility deciding. And systems very specifically.
Right, body mobility and system. I feel like the high one should be the one that's not where either you or I would go as our characters. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think that would be your muscle is high, right?
My grit is high. Your savvy is high, which tells me that body is high.
On the ship.
This is a tow truck. Like this is a big, beefy garbage truck of a ship.
Oh.
Which means that probably mobility is 0 and systems is 1. That feels right.
That reads right to me. Yeah.
And I think we can call this body if you are firing guns and roughing it up specifically.
I thought, is that true, or is systems the
systems guns?
Thing?
That might be correct.
An even worse roll. Here it is. Maybe you're right though. Body is the strength of the build. How well it copes with body with I think it's body for this reason. Systems is like
weapon systems.
Weapon systems, but the fact that I am not.
The fact that you're not doing that means that you're rolling body.
Exactly. I am trying to take shots, but really what we're relying on is can our ship take the hits it needs? So that's 3d6 plus 2 lowest.
That is, so it's a 5, 2, and a 6. So it is a 7 plus 2 is a 9. That is a success.
Okay.
We're taking this jack. Whew. We're feeling good. I think like there is a clear sense of like talk to me about what it looks like to pull this off.
So I think that first of all, I think the thing that I end up relying on is the body of the ship, which is the thing I start shooting instead of being our big cannon is our grappling hook. And I'm using our ability to pull, which isn't mobility so much as it is the weight of our ship and the momentum you've got us going in to start crashing other ships into each other. And there's something really terrible I'm doing here, which is they're dying. But I didn't pull the trigger. I didn't kill them. The success question is how many ships did you take out despite the extreme turbulence? I think I blew up 7 or 8 ships, most of which have 4 people on them each. So that is quite a bit of penance I'll have to do as I do my evening prayers. But I think the ship looks like shit at the end of it because we're towing them in, we're crashing into them. I'm driving them with fire into like the front of the ship that you're ramming through them, you know?
Yeah.
It's a mess. And I actually think that maybe the Wild Knight gets like on the side of the ship where it says the Wild Knight, we lose some letters, you know, or they get scraped, or it gets, I think it's even funnier if somehow it gets bent or stretched in a way that it's even bigger than it was before. Yeah. It's the ship name we don't like, and now it's even more obvious on the whole of the ship.
I like that a lot. That's good energy. And I think like, there's a moment when we are like, it's not even that we are like on a planet, we are like in orbit of like a moon and are like limping. And like, I think I like limp by you and just like give you a look, not a single word. And like, we just see the like flare flop into the bed, which Janice's bed is a mattress that is resting on the floor. That's just the easiest decision that I can imagine in my entire life. Of course. Flops hard on the bed, not a single word to you, but there is just the longest stare right before that of like,
I'm gonna make it up, and I don't wait for an answer.
Not a word and answer, which is our 8th blues token, which means that we pass into our. So we have 3 cards. The opposition has 2. So I've just pulled aside extra cards to flush out our 5-card hands.
Thank you.
So what is our what's coming home to roost?
That is the final phase, right? Or the third phase.
The third phase, which is going to set up our response. What is? Let's see. I think there are actually specific prompts based on
we build the best hands that we can with what we have.
The best hand that we have here is a high card. So I've pulled the 10 of clubs, the Queen of Hearts, and the 8 of diamonds. The best card that we have is an ace. Is a high card ace.
Oh, that's not great. Okay. No other hands can be made. I think what ends up happening here is we then build a trouble hand. I'm just going to read from the book, if that makes sense. In this phase, use the Troubles deck, made from the discarded cards in your failed checks. These are the cards that life dealt to your enemies. The hands made from these cards represent the toughest luck and the worst of the troubles you face in your past. It's recommended that you use characters lay out all the cards in your Troubles deck face up. So what are our Troubles deck cards?
So the cards that we had in that deck were the 7 of diamonds and the ace of diamonds.
And then did you build that up to 5 too?
I've added 3 cards to that, and I've added the 10 of clubs, the 8 of diamonds, and the Queen of Hearts. So our final card is the high card, non-spades, the silence of no one showing up to see you, vengeful or otherwise. Alone with your thoughts and regrets, you try to reflect. Answer a question from your trouble. Let's each answer a question from our trouble. God, the questions that I have are very good.
Okay. I kind of want you to answer first because I've got a good one that I can do a follow-up on.
Who believed in you is a very good, painful question to answer in this moment.
It's good.
Who believed in you? There was it was the head designer of like a fashion company. Like it was like a fashion person who was willing to put the money down. These sneakers were supposed to be something. This was supposed to be like an actual art thing, and they were going to like partner with me to mass produce them. His name is, I'm going to go Luca Hightop. That feels good. That feels
perfect.
Good. It's simple.
Yes, of course.
On the nose, juicy, feels right. Luca Hightop like believed in these designs and like saw something in me when I was like a kid in art school. Like partnered with me, and just the ramp up to all of that burned out like nobody's business. Ended up running cargo rather than facing the fact that like I could have been somebody.
It was while you were running cargo that you became the answer to one of my questions.
Okay.
I think this is a couple years after I'd left Central Systems. It's a couple of years after I left the church. I've been trying to do the fence thing. I've been trying to do the face thing, building my reputation, building connections. It's going nowhere. I'm making enemies. I have a decent Rolodex, but I've called in all my favors at this point. And I'm at the end of the line. Some mission went really bad. I'm being chased through a space station like out into a 0G area. The bullets are flying all around me. There's no sound because we're out in space. It's that type of thing. And my choices are being gunned down or leaping into space by myself. And I do the latter. And you are the answer to my question, my troubles question, rather. What miracle have you seen? The wild knight showed up while I was floating in the middle of space. And you were like, just out of not the sort of thing I think you would normally do. Normally, you just let the body go. And maybe you brought me in to see if there was anything of value on my corpse. Sure. And I turned up alive. And there was no reason for you to have done that, except that you're a smuggler and you were taking some route that was where no ships go, And you found me and brought me aboard. And in a very weird way, that made me closer to my faith than I'd been in years. Because my faith, I think, is all about gravity. It's like it believes that things get pulled together, and that's why the big central hub planet is like holy, is because all this stuff orbits around it. And so at the end of the day, it believes that things pull together. And in this moment, you were pulled to me via gravity.
Amazing, incredible. I have a pitch for like what this moment looks like. Like
Please.
what this agonizing moment kind of looks like. Very specifically, as we are left to reflect. There's no roles to make here, but like this is a real like emotional low point.
Yeah.
If I can pitch a thing that your character has done,
please.
You have called in a favor to get me a meeting with Luca Hightop.
Yes, of course.
This is the payback for paying off the ship. Right. All of those things that we have done for each other. Like this is like supposed to be the biggest moment of our like lives, of our friendship, of our everything. And like Luca, you call up Luca and you say like, you mention like, hey, like I've been working with this person. They mentioned that they had a working relationship. And Luca says, yeah, for sure. I'll be there. That sounds great.
Oh, no. Oh, the words have come back to bite me in the ass.
And like, are you there in the diner?
Oh yeah.
As Janice sits for 2 hours, sipping sodas and like noshing on French fries.
Of course, yeah. But I'm not. Is that where you're supposed to meet Hightop?
I think so.
I'm in a different booth, or I'm like undercover. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But then I'm like, he's not coming. He's not coming. He's not going to show up. I hate this. And so I want to do something.
Okay.
I need you to tell me all the cards again. I need you to tell me what the cards are.
The cards are the
on
Ace
both
of
sides.
Diamonds.
Yes. Ace of
Yes. So right now we're just looking at the trouble deck, and then our next phase is looking at the...
I know, but I need them all.
Okay, great. On our side, the Jack of Diamonds. The 4 of Diamonds. The 10 of Spades. On their side, the 10 of Clubs. The 7 of Diamonds. The 8 of Diamonds. The Ace of Diamonds, the Queen of Hearts.
Oh my God, they almost had a flush, huh?
They almost had a flush. They were so close.
8 of Diamonds, Ace of Diamonds,
and 2 cards away from a flush. And they could, if you're thinking about swapping 2 cards, you could build this into a flush and make some wild trouble.
We have how many blues tokens? We have 8 blues tokens.
We have 8 blues tokens.
We needed. Oh, I wanted to steal. So there's a thing here that is at this point we can spend blues tokens to swap cards around.
Okay.
I guess that's swapping cards into the trouble hand though, not
and I guess
into
I guess I should note that I've drawn 2 I have drawn 2 cards specifically for our deck to fill us out, and they are the 7 of Clubs and the Jack of Clubs.
Right. Okay. So we are nowhere near being able to build a good hand.
There's a few we could build a 2-pair
if we succeed. But we have to be able to succeed to steal from it, right? And the current hand that we're up against, or the current thing, the challenge that we have, doesn't let us even try to make a roll, right? Yeah. So it's in a sense, I have to make it worse for us by making it a rollable option, a rollable object. So it seemed like the closest thing I could do is try to get them a flush of some sort, right?
Well, I was going to say, if you get them a pair of 7s doesn't beat a pair of jacks, we would have to
I mean, a pair changes what our situation is.
A pair changes what we're up against. We could change it into a pair and swap a pair of 7s.
Right. Let's do that. Because a pair is the one who got away comes back.
And I'm going to propose, I'm going to game the system and propose we take this 10 to give us 2 paired 10s. I think that
makes perfect sense. Let's do that.
Let's do that. There we go. Okay. The one who got away comes back.
Yeah. And it's a grit check.
Yeah.
I think what we're getting in the kind of filmic version of this is us waiting for this guy to show up. And it's sitting in the diner. You're waiting for him to show up. It's intercut with me calling in the favor, me telling you to go meet at this place, me saying, I never told you thank you for saving me from from dead space, from the emptiness of the black. And and then it goes longer. That's like every 5 seconds we get a cutaway to me doing the kind of lead up. And then we get 20 seconds of nothing in the diner. And it's like, oh my God, this high top is not going to come. And then I get to make this grit roll. Yeah. He didn't show up and I went to go get him at some point, or I put pressure on him. I did something that's not what I do. So give me a grit check. My grit again is a 1, 2d6 plus 1.
That's a 5. No. But how many dice did we use to swap? How many blues tokens did we use to swap cards?
I think we swapped 2 cards or swapped 1 card.
We swapped 1 card.
That's 3 tokens.
Okay, well, I'm going to reroll. I'm going to spend 2 blues tokens and reroll both of these. A 1 and a 3. We can get better.
We can get better than that. Let's do it.
We've got 1 more. I'm spending 1 more. That's a 2 and a 3, so that's better.
Oh my God.
That's still a 2 and that's no. I think that this is where we're at.
Oh no. I tried everything I could. I just don't have it like that. We just don't. I think this ties into the song that I've been sitting on adding to the playlist very specifically. Please.
This is Amy Mann and Elvis Costello's The Fall of the World's Own Optimist.
Yes.
Luca's just straight up, Luca has achieved a level of fame that, we just don't, just doesn't care. There's no, where we are in the world, in society, in our lives, no matter the connections we have, it is, sending a cold email to George Clooney's inbox and being like, maybe, I don't know.
I get up to make a call from the payphone and it's the number you've dialed is not in service. He just changed his number. He just had it rerouted or he blocked me somehow, Ugh.
Okay.
Brutal. Well,
now each of us, we go into our final prompt.
Uh-huh.
And each of us chooses our swan song. The song for the end of our story.
And we ended up with 1 pair?
We've ended up with 2 pair.
Okay.
Because of how we pulled.
It's not great. I'm looking at it.
I'm looking at it. It's actually bad.
Actually pretty bad.
A single bullet fired from somewhere you didn't see. You always said you wanted to go quick. Was that true?
Oof.
I think
the mafia comes from us.
I would love to take that bullet.
Oh, you can take the bullet. I forgot about that rule.
I would love to take this bullet very specifically. I would love to be the person that takes this bullet.
Mm-hmm. Here's how I think we got in this situation.
Yeah.
I went so hard at trying to find this guy that we'd been kind of laying low from the mob for a little while and using pseudonyms or not going around certain haunts. But I reached too far, too loudly, and they tracked us down. Not this day, but soon, soon after.
And I think there's the last interaction that I want before we call game is there's a clear moment where we are floating among a debris field, and we know that on surface, similar to how it was on that car chase so long ago, there is a gang waiting for us. And the interaction that we have before, and I'll leave the question of whether or not it's going to happen before Janice loads into the lander and goes to righteously raise hell until she is taken out to give you an out to get away.
I don't think I know. I don't think I know it's going to happen. I think I hear it happening in the middle of it.
So then before that happens, I think it's truly a walk by and it's a walk. I think it's a What is it? What's the vibe? What's the final interaction like between us? Like, I don't even think there's an interaction. I think like before you even realize that something has happened, like it's a just we're on different parts of the ship. You blink and suddenly you hear the sound of the lander like erupt.
Yeah.
You know, like we've been like eating dinner in separate rooms. You hear the lander go off. And when you go to look, like
Janice, did you hear that? And then, to the cockpit to make sure everything's okay.
And in the cockpit waiting are like a pair of shoes with like a painted mural of our time together very specifically.
No.
It's just it's that and the keys to Jessica 2. At this point there is a new Jessica.
Of course, the new Jessica 2, of course.
It's the keys to Jessica 2. It's a pair of sneakers and like taping her. We just get the briefest shot of her like taping her wrists and taping her knuckles and going like, if you're gonna go out, you may as well have fun doing it.
Killer.
That's it. That's game. That's it.
I have a song for my character here, which is it's King Cruel's "Our Vacuum." Please, at your whim, go listen to it.
What is my swan song specifically?
I mean, you're the one who died here, so I guess we didn't see it happen, but you're the one who had a swan song moment specifically.
I'm going again. I'm going with Mountain Goats for the
of course.
for the mirror, but it's choked out.
Okay. Perfect.
It's Mountain Goats choked out. The wrestling album.
Yeah.
We hear the strums of that as we approach. And that's game. Fuck Great. Yeah.
Hell yeah. Shout outs.
What was your favorite moment from play?
Oh wow. I think for me it's less the moment and more the like I felt like we had a really great job building the relationship between the two characters and like the poking at each other. The I screwed up, you screwed up, I screwed up, you screwed up bit. Great. Fantastic.
And the way that it naturally pushed towards a resolution of like getting us to a place where one of us isn't getting out, but going like, you know what, like it's important that the other lives is so juicy. It's magical. Energy's electric.
Also just fantastic. Like
really electric,
really quick, really I played lots of games with prompts. Some of them sometimes have prompts where you start scratching your head a little bit. And you're like, oh, I don't know how to build on this. This is an interesting thing. Or the other way where it's not a prompt, it's a specific situation. And so you don't feel like you're creating, you feel like you're just like playing through an adventure, which is fine, but like that's not what I come do games with prompts for. These are really, really flavorful, or at least the ones we got were really, really flavorful, but really, really open-ended. The question that comes from a success or a failure is also a really fun element.
It really, really satisfying. This was so much fun. Thank you so much for playing this with me. I had an amazing time. Real quick, before we wrap things up, where can people find you and your work online?
You can find me on Blue Sky. I'm Austin Walker. Blue Sky. They need to fix how this works on Blue Sky. They really do. I'm Austin Walker .bsky.social or whatever over there.
So many words.
It is. Friends of the Table is the podcast that I do. Again, we're starting a new actual play campaign of Emmanuel Galetto's Fabula Ultima very soon. And you can find Realis on itch.io. Just do a search for Realis.
Love that. Thank you so much for playing this with me. I am over the moon. This was amazing.
This was sick.
Now I'm going to throw it over to me in the future so that he can wrap up with the show. Take a future me. Thanks, past me. And thanks again to Austin for coming on to the show. Man, that fucking ruled. What like a special game. What a special experience. It was so cool to like watch these characters interact and build this relationship in this world and these places and people in real time. It was just everything that I wanted it to be and then some. Be sure to head to the show notes to check out Friends at the Table, pick up your own copy of Realis, check out Orbital Blues, and follow Austin on social media at austinwalker.bsky.social. You can also find us on pretty much whichever social media you prefer at Party of One Pod or Jeff Stormer, depending. And if you enjoy the show and you want to support it, there's a lot of different ways you can do that. Subscribe to our newsletter at buttondown.email/partyofonepodcast and join our Discord community at bit.ly/partyofonediscord. supporting. You can support us financially at patreon.com/JeffStormer or Ko-fi.com/JeffStormer. You can give us a nice iTunes review, shout us out to a friend, give us some love on social media. You can buy some Party of One merch at bit.ly/PartyOfOneMerch. Or, if you're looking for more great podcast content, you can check out All My Fantasy Children, which is a character creation, storytelling, and world-building podcast that I make with my best friend in the world, Aaron Catano-Saez. We take a listener-submitted prompt and spin it into an original fantasy character, populating a shared universe one story at a time. You can also check out Yazeba's Bed and Breakfast, which is an actual play about a heartless witch, a cozy house, and the many people making their homes inside. Both of those you can find wherever you get your podcasts. Party of One is, as always, produced and edited by Jeff Stormer and Jen Frank. Music for the show comes from the song Infinite Lives by Mega Rain, featuring the D&D Sluggers, and the Party of One logos by Evan Rowland. If you'd like to inquire about advertising rates, coming on the show as a guest, or about press coverage of the show, you can email me at partyofonepodcast@gmail.com. And, unless I am mistaken, that is all we do here. So until next time, thank you so much for listening. Remember to fight the forces of fascism every single day. Remember that self-love and self-care are radical and defiant acts of resistance. And as always, party on, everybody.